Hi, I'm Zoe Tant, the Tantalising Stamper, and today I've got some ideas for using a baby wipe to create different backgrounds and actually create your own ink pad using a baby wipe, and some fun ideas for cards. So I'm going to turn my screen and we'll get started. So I'm using the Hooray for Surprises stamp set, and I'm also using the Hooray for Surprises dies that go with them. So just so you can see them, they're there. And I've got this one here, the leaf die, and this flower die, which are the ones I'm going to use to cut this out. And this is a standalone sort of die that doesn't connect to an actual image in the pack. So I'm just put those out of the way. So first of all, you'll need a something like a spare stamp case, if you've got one, DVD case, if they still exist, and a baby wipe. So if you open up your case and fold your baby wipe in half and in half again, and depending on the size of the stamp that you're going to use, you could probably do it again. So keeps it nice and moist. And gives it a bit of depth. Let's just check my stamp's going to fit. Yeah. And to start with, what we're going to do is I've got petal pink ink. So I'm going to put some in the middle for the centre of my flower. Get nice and juicy. Just check that it's going to cover. Yep. And then I'm going to put drops all around to start building up a circle of ink that will cover the petals, and you can see it's just bleeding into itself, so you don't have to go too mad, although I will fill it back in a little bit. This works probably best with a solid stamp, which this is, apart from some line detailing. So if we do that, and that will all bleed into itself slowly. I've got a piece of Whisper White card here, so I'm going to just ink up my stamp, let it sit there, and then stamp my image. So you can see it's created the centre of the flower and the outside. Now this is a really simple stamp to do it with, but you can do it with more detailed ones. You can stamp your image onto your baby wipe with something like StazOn ink. And then put drops of colour where you want them to be, so that you can see where you put the image, the stamp back, and then hopefully it will colour it in the right places. But you know, sometimes the funky colours work really well with this sort of thing. So there are my flowers coming along nicely. I'm going to put those to one side because I can die cut those, but then also on another piece of card, in fact no, on a card base, what you could do is do the same, but you could start stamping all over, flip it around and create a background pattern on your card base, which you could, and with this it doesn't matter if they overlap because it just adds a bit deeper colour. But obviously choose your image, as some may not work so well. So if we keep going until we've got the whole thing covered. This is such an easy thing to do, and even if you don't have a baby, I think a lot of us have got baby wipes around the house these days. So this is a great thing to do. And it's something that a resource that you've already got available, so it's not going to cost you any more money. And you can use any stamp you want to. And there you go. So you've created that lovely background. And then what we could do is use it as a background, so put an extra piece of card on top, and then some of the die cut flowers, some of which I cut earlier, I'll just show you. You could lift those, you put those on with a sentiment and a ribbon, and it all starts coming together really simply. So it's up to you what you want to do. Now I'm just going to show you a slightly different piece idea now. So if we take another piece of card, and then this will stay inky for quite some time, obviously, before it dries out. So if you've got it in a stamp case, you can close it up and then reuse it. You can't leave it lying around for days and days, but it will do quite a few before the ink runs out, or you know, you can add ink if you want to do a lot more. I would suggest that you get your card ready so that you're ready to go when it all happens. Now with this one, I'm going to create a background with a baby wipe in a slightly different way to die cut some leaves. So I've opened my ink pad, but actually I'm just going to close it because I'll just show you. If you turn it upside down and put the heel of your hand in it, then and push it down, that's how you get this pool of ink. So I've got one there, and I've got a spritzer here which has just got water in it. So I'm just going to spray some water in and then grab another baby wipe, and I'm going to scrunch it up and just do this. Start adding ink all over this piece of card. Now, as you can see, I've already run out of ink. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit more in this time, water it down a little bit, and then come on with it like this. So if you avoid the light bits that you've done earlier, it starts adding different colours and different dimensions. Now, if you wanted to change it even further, again, this is an old ink pad, but it works the same. Or indeed, you could use a glass mat, which you can currently get with Stampin' Up, or if you join, get a glass mat, and you get a silicone mat that you can put ink and stuff in as well. And then you could turn your ink pad upside down and put it on the glass mat, or you can do this and spritz with water, and you would do that the same on the glass mat, and then pick up a little bit more so you can create different bits of patterning all over. And come back with this one again. Just going all over randomly, and that creates a really good sort of piece of paper to then die cut some leaves. We'll just put that away. Shut those up. Now, this sort of technique can get quite messy, as you can see already. So if you're not an inky person, then you might want to wear some gloves before you start, and you want to protect your work surface. So some grid paper is the perfect thing for that. Then that, I'm going to leave it to dry, so I can die cut it later, but I did some earlier, so you can see how with the card I showed you, you could start to bring in some of these leaves as well and make it a little bit more interesting with the flowers. Then a big sentiment or something. So it's really entirely up to you, but it creates a nice background and a frame. Now, one other thing that you can do as well is if you take a piece of watercolour paper, I've got the Fluid 100 that Stampin' Up do. I've still got my spritzer with a little bit of water, but if you just spray it and make it wet, and if you add a little bit to the reverse to try and help stop it warping, ooh, I've obviously caught that with a bit of ink already. And then again, bring back that wipe, that baby wipe, and add some ink. Now, depending on how deep you want it, is it up to you? But again, we can come back with the ink pad, rather foolishly put away, and just blot ink all over it. We can get this a little bit wetter, maybe. And maybe we'll get some of the garden green as well. I'm using garden green and parakeet party. So you could die cut this as well, but in a moment I'll show you a card that I did that will be on my blog very shortly for, well, it's actually on the blog now as part of the blog hop to show you different techniques using baby wipes. And this is such an easy one, and as I've already said, it's stuff you've probably got around your house. You've got inks, you can do whatever colour you want, and again, leave that to dry, and then with one that I did before, you can see what it looks like dry. So that one's a little bit darker, that one's a bit more limey green. That one will dry, and when it does, you can then either die cut it or you can use it as a background for a card. And here you can see I've die cut lots of leaves and some of the flowers that I did previously. I've added a sentiment and some of these beautiful little pearls. They're the iridescent pearls from the 2022 to 2024, so they're going soon, potentially. Little pearls, so you get the 5 colours, and they're just really lovely for adding a little bit of pizzazz to a card and making it really pretty. And the stamp sentiment is white embossed and is also from the Hooray for Surprises, as are the dies and the flowers. So it's one bundle, and of course at the moment it's celebration, so if you order the bundle you can start looking at getting free gifts once you've spent the required amount. You could add the baker's twine or the pearls and you're there, and then choose a freebie, and let's face it, we all like those. So thank you for joining me today, and I do hope that you've found the video useful, and don't forget that if you see this while the blog hop is there, please do visit it and have a look at all my lovely friends around the globe who've done some different ideas for you. Okay, thanks for joining. Cheers. Bye bye.